day that I'm shooting this marks 108 days until the end of the school year. The question is, how do I make everyone count? And how do I not just survive, but thrive the year? Here's 5 ways that we're gonna do that.
Orion.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm going to talk to you today about 5 ways to get through the rest of this year. And it might be 5, it might be a couple more than that. Not really sure. There's a reason I teach English, not mathematics. I mean, actually, counting to 5 is pretty basic. You get it. Anyway, let's go. So the game this year is classroom engagement and trying to just get kids to, it's basically just classroom engagement. That's the name of the game this year. Trying to get kids to engage, trying to get them to learn something and move the needle a little bit further into the knowing section than the not knowing section. Now, when we're talking about engagement, I think the number one thing that you can do to engage your students is to get them talking about something that they like. And although time is tight and we're not seeing our students as much, and some of them are on screens and some of them are in person behind shields and masks, I think just engaging students in something that they're interested in is a great way to get them talking. And the thing is, when you get kids talking about one thing, you're building relationships, you're building culture, you're creating a community that cares, that sees one another beyond what's just on the lesson plan that day. And the way that I do this is never in the middle of my lesson, but typically the first 5 minutes of class, the last 5 minutes of class, something around there is a good time to just check in with students, see what they're watching, see what they're listening to, see what they're into. If your students are on Zoom like mine, I'll often go into their breakout rooms. I'll ask them a few questions, see if they understand what we're doing. And then before I go, say, hey, real quick, man, how's the rest of your school year going? What's going on at home? Are you playing any interesting games? Watch anything interesting on TV? You've been playing sports at all? And that is enough sometimes to just check in. That 1 to 2 minute check-in can be huge in the eyes of a child. Number 2, do a fun project. There's tons of really great ideas out there if we just give ourselves a chance to think about it, to dream about it. In one of my last videos, I talked about how we had our students create either a movie poster for one of the stories that we just read or a playlist. This is getting real around here. I don't know if you can hear everything, but one of the problems with recording at home is my home's never empty anymore. So there's always noises and knocks at the door and water running and dishes and kids and mail people and Amazon packages. I guess it's the same thing as mail people, but there's a lot of things getting dropped off. So pardon the extra noise. Anyway, let's go. I think doing fun projects is a good way to help kids to engage, to get excited about something that you're doing. And even if they're not excited and showing that they're like through the roof with excitement and joy that you've let them do a mixtape or a movie poster like we did in class, what you're doing is trying. Something doesn't work, you pivot and you try something else. We have a couple of projects coming up that we're doing that we're thinking about having students create stop motion videos, having kids do movie trailers. This is something we tried to do in this last project, but it just proved to be too many options for students and that was a bit paralyzing to them. So we pared it down to 2. The playlist and the movie poster for one of the 4 stories that we've been reading. And then we've been trying to just think of like cool stuff coming up that we could do that doesn't necessarily have to take up your whole lesson, but it could just be a part of your lesson, a part of your day, a part of what you're doing in class to sprinkle that magic on. The third thing is doing something that I've heard referred to as rigging the game to win. I think Tim Ferriss says rigging the game to win. And the idea here is to not overwhelm students with feedback, to not give them too much at one time. That when a student hands in a project, you don't want to say, here's a laundry list of things I need you to fix. It's, hey, here's your grade right now. If you fix these 2 or 3 things that I'm going to walk you through, you can go from this grade to this grade. So when I'm using the Samsung interactive board, that looks like this. So if you remember from one of my last videos, I talked about this particular project that I was doing where I was helping the students to create playlists. So in rigging the game to win, one of the things I'm thinking about is how do we help students to just move the needle a little bit so they can start to see that putting in that effort is actually going to equal success. So one of the ways I really love this idea for is if you're in a classroom, whether you're in there during times of COVID or not, students that are in the back they can beam their project that they're working on right now and shoot it up to the board without having to come up in front of the classroom, without having to walk around and commingle with other people or go get behind someone else's shield or whatever your safety scenario is in school. From the safety and comfort of their own desk, beam that up to the board, and then this is what we're gonna do. So if a student beams their project up here, I can show them things that I need them to fix. And I've talked about this before, but I think in this instance, it is helping students to realize the tiny things that they can shift to take a decent project to a good project, or a good project to a great project. So in this project, you can see my guy's text is really small up here. So letting them know to either make the text larger, to put a bold behind it, or to show them how to just put a nice little square backing it might help that text pop out right there. And then doing that same procedure for the bottom text. Or letting them know, since we did do a story about Ireland, taking this Irish flag that they have behind their project here and making it so that that's clear to see on the whole project. And then sometimes it really takes sitting down with your students and actually walking them through. What my school community and I are finding is that our students, although they grew up with technology, they grew up with iPhones and video games and smart TVs, they don't always know how to do something beyond swiping and tapping. So sometimes on the computer, it takes walking them through the steps, helping them to navigate the websites. And that's one of the reasons I love the board so much, is that it's completely intuitive. Now, another thing I might do also is if a group's doing a really great job or a project that they've done well, or even if a specific part of it is really good, it's showing that as well. So if a student is doing something right, or they are doing something that you want other students to pay attention to, you can have them beam their project up to the board too. I don't know what that's like beaming, but that's the universal sign for beaming, just in case you were wondering. So having their text large enough, having something behind it so that it pops. Maybe it was their song choice. Maybe it was the way that they connected the mood. Maybe it was the way that they connected the song and saw something in the story that maybe I didn't see before. Maybe you want other students to see. A mistake I've made in the past is expecting that students understand what's going on, is expecting that students know how to do something just because I told them to go ahead and do it. Sometimes it just takes a few seconds to walk a student through a process, how to add the YouTube video, how to put a picture, how to size the picture. But in doing that, you're giving them small steps that will help them to really up their game. And when you can share that work with the whole entire class, by helping them and their group to do a better job, or to shout out someone that's doing really great work, you're helping to raise the game so the students can win. Another thing I've been doing, this is a weird one. I've been trying to incentivize my class. And if someone's doing a really great job, like I had a student that had a 30 in the beginning of the trimester, he now has a 68 this time of the trimester. And I'm so proud of him because he's really working. He's working for that 68. He has come up a lot. I'm really proud of him. So my co-teacher and I have been mailing kids cereal. If we think that you're doing a great job, we mail you cereal. We're not being cheap on this either. You get sent the family size cereal. And if you've been doing a little bit of a better job, we just send you one of those little baby cereal boxes. You know, the ones that come all together in that multi-pack, but then there's always that one that's like the generic cornflakes that no one wants to eat and sits in your pantry until, I don't know, the zombie apocalypse. But sending little things as you can. If you don't have the money for it, maybe your school has an incentive program. Our school gives us a little bit of money every year to create incentives for students, and otherwise just comes out of my own pocket. And that's not a message I want to push, is to get teachers to spend more money, but it does help. It does let kids know that you see them. And what a great surprise to have something show up at the door that's actually exciting, like a giant box of Reese's Puffs. And the last thing is something I feel like I say all the time, but it is picking topics, stories, and examples that kids love. And I think you can do this in any grade with any subject matter, because your subject matter is everywhere. Math is everywhere. English is everywhere. History is everywhere. So this week, one of the things that we did was I had the students take a look at an article that I found in the New York Times that talked about the fact that it was the 35th anniversary of the original Super Mario Brothers game. Or if you're from Philly, Mario Brothers, which my students make fun of me because they say Mario all the time. It's Mario. It's not Mario. So before we did this, we did a quick Kahoot that I just found on Kahoot that was based on the history of Super Mario Brothers. We then did a journal entry asking students a number of questions about their gaming practices, like how many games do you play? What do you like about video games? What are you excited about in the future of video games? And then we read the article together and answered some questions. And it was really fun because it was something that they were already interested in. They already liked video games. So to take something we would have been doing anyway, like reading, and then wrapping that around something that they were interested in just makes the engagement go up enough to keep going. And that's it. I think it hit 5 there. I actually added correctly that time. Sometimes it's 5-ish tips on something. Look, before you go, here's my request from all of you watching this. If you're doing something really cool in your classroom, if you are finding ways that you're not only surviving, but thriving, or if you know another teacher that's doing it, if you wouldn't mind, would you please put it in the comment section below so that this can become a thread of just great ideas. You could also go over to our Facebook group, Real Rap With Reynolds Teacher Talk, and leave it there as well. Real Rap With Reynolds Teacher Talk is a closed group on Facebook of just educators and those wanting to be educators. There are no companies, no one's trying to sell you anything. We just try to make something that's for teachers by teachers. And that's it for today, gang. Peace.